Appreciate everybody coming in, and it's funny when I had a chance to talk about outfield play, I was like, I wonder how many people are going to show, because it continuously becomes that position that people ignore. So my name's Andre Butler. I started what we call the graveyard mentality. Started it 2 years ago when I was at Penn State. And the reason why I started it was simply because I was coaching one day and my players were doing some things, and I was like, man, I'm kind of bored myself as a coach. Like, I had to look in the mirror, and it's during practice, and I said, this ain't it. Something's got to change. And I don't want to just throw eyewash out there and just say, okay, let's become something. So I took some time to reflect. I asked some players who I currently was coaching, hey, give me a definition of the outfield. What do you think the outfield is? And we came up with the graveyard mentality, which is a place where the hopes of base hits are laid to rest. We did that for a year, and next thing you know, guys were making diving catches, guys were doing different things left and right, and it stuck with me until now. So I absolutely love it. It's anytime that I see an awesome play on Twitter or social media, and it'll be baseball, I'm all over it and trying to dissect it and learn and give information. So that's where the graveyard originated from. A little bit more about the graveyard. A couple people who have helped me out during this journey. Curtis Granderson, who is probably one of the best people ever. I mean, ever. I mean, there's Jackie Robinson and there's Curtis Granderson. He's fantastic. I hope, it sounds like he might try to hang on, play another year. I don't know. We'll see. Shannon Stewart, who played for Minnesota Twins, Blue Jays. Some of you guys who are older in here might know him. Jackie Bradley Jr. And Gary Sheffield are some notable names who have helped me out along the way. And when I say help me out, I specifically mean, hey, Curtis, what are you guys doing today for outfield? Or, hey, Curtis, what's Adrian Gonzalez doing for the outfielders with your squad right now? Gary Sheffield just wants to hit bombs all day. He just wants to talk about offense. Literally, that's all he wants to do. You saw his video a couple months ago, him smoking a cigar. Yeah, still hitting him out. And all the way down to guys not on there is Dominic Brown, who was a high draft pick for the Phillies a couple years ago. Me and him have teamed up in Philly and have been doing some cool things. So really, I just use those guys to look at a high level and ask myself, okay, what are we doing from the youth age to high school up to that end point? That's the end point that every player should want to strive for, so to speak. So how are we making that all into one? And to be quite honest, it's not far off. It's not very far off at all. The new Pittsburgh Pirates outfield coach, Tariq Brock, is another guy who I've been able to communicate with over some of the years. And a lot of stuff he's doing is similar stuff I'm doing, which is why the graveyard mentality piece has stuck, and it's not going to go anywhere. So let's hop right into this thing from an education to a drill standpoint. And because this is such a small group, which I love, if there's something I say where you want elaboration on, I will gladly answer it. So you can feel free. We can make this an open conversation, as I love dialogue. So certain things that we're going to look at when we talk outfield play, right? Proper scouting. So whether you're in a high school coach, whether you're a college coach, whether you're a professional coach, there's some sort of scouting that you're going to be able to do on your opponent. Now, with that said, and actually the school I'm at now, I'm at Swarthmore College now, I'm going to have to change how I scout based off how I scouted when I was at Penn State. Right? At Penn State, we probably had everything under the sun. Swarthmore, Division III school, maybe not as much, but we'll still be able to scout to a certain level. So there's multiple ways to receive that advantage on your opponent and use what you have. We're going to be able to look at the game from a different perspective just within our scouting. And again, as I started with, the outfield, it's not a lazy position. It's actually a position where, because you might not get a ball all the time, like a shortstop or middle infielder, there's so much time to think and analyze what's going on in different people's swings, what's going on in different reactions, what's going on seeing the ball out of the hands of a pitcher. So we actually look at the game from a different perspective, even though we're playing way out 300 feet away from the batted ball. My favorite thing to do, about a year and a half ago, I focused solely on this. That was it. And the guys are coming up in college, they didn't know how to read swings because it wasn't something that was worked on. You think about it, if you listen to most guys teach about the outfield, they're really going to talk about, well, drop step left, head turns, all those cool things that are great. However, to be able to read a swing is going to be able to give you all that information that you need. And that was number one. Us as coaches, whether you're a high school coach, club coach, college coach, I spent a whole summer going out and just recruiting, right? So as I'm recruiting, I'm sitting there, and what am I doing when I look at offensive guys? I'm reading swings. I'm looking, okay, how does he use his lower half? Okay, how much does he pull? How much is he a little bit late? He's going to hit that dump ball on the opposite side. So then I told myself, wait a minute. If I can teach my players technically how to recruit, but not call it recruiting, if I can teach them how to read swings, they're going to be one hell of an outfielder. So I always say they should be able to read the swing of every teammate. You're with them all the time. So in my now 8 years of coaching, all of those players on those rosters, if you named a guy, I can tell you exactly about his swing. I can tell you exactly what his swing is going to do on a fastball, breaking ball, changeup, whatever it may be, and how he will react to it. Not because I'm a genius. I just spent a lot of time on the field with them. You know, and the more time you spend, the more you'll be able to say, okay, well, I can watch and realize that his adjustability to recognize a pitch on the inner half quadrant of the plate is really good. So I know that if I'm a center fielder, we're constantly going in, whether I agree with the pitching coach or not. Maybe I do slide over a little bit. If I'm the right fielder, maybe I do cover that gap, because if he does pull it, it's going in a gap, not opposite side. So all things to look at, and all that can take place during batting practice. So we talk about pitch location, body reaction to the pitch, which we all hear of the ass out swing. So think if I'm a right-handed hitter and the outfielder's playing in right field, and we keep seeing this, and his body is never engaged with the pitch on the outer half part, I'll tell all my right fielders, hey, come on in. We're going to make him beat us. Like, that's the way to play aggressive outfield, because if it does go in the air, it's not going to go too far behind you. And check this, at the end of the day, sometimes you got to tip your cap. Maybe because the hitter actually did his job, which is 1 out of 10 times, or unfortunately, sorry pitching coaches, he missed a spot, right? Think about it. It's like, why are we covering the ground for the pitcher to miss the spot or for the pitcher to execute? So that's really a lot of the ways I think about it. And then bat speed and the ability for a hitter to extend through the zone. But I can't watch a game now without reading a swing. It's all I do, and if you haven't done it, it's one of the most fun things to do as a coach overall. Something that I used last year, I'm probably going to struggle with this a little bit this year. I'll see how it goes. But my positioning cards, you've probably seen them. The Red Sox use them. You'll see them pull out of their back pocket in between ABs. And I sit with one of those in the dugout. I always have some sort of chart or some sort of card because I get bored, okay? We're all human beings. If I'm not doing something that's involved with the game, I'm going to get bored. So I let my players have all those in their back pockets as well. Here's how it can work from a college perspective versus a high school perspective. We had a lot of data that we would receive showing where we would need to play every guy. To be quite honest, nothing is better than watching a team during BP, and I hope to God that they got the old numbers on the cage jackets. I'd sit, I don't know why they do that, but I think it's great for me. I'd sit right there, 13, heavy pull, 14, slide oppo. I would write the whole thing down. And it would be all the way up until maybe the game started, where I'm sitting there with my dry erase or my Sharpie marker, and I'm filling out the cards. I'm filling them out. filling them out, filling them out. And I take one of my, whoever's not playing, because I make sure everyone's involved, hey, distribute these to the left fielder, center fielder, and right fielder. Let's go play ball. That's what we did. I mean, as you can see from now, like, there's more to this than just running down a ball and just drop stepping. From a different level, this year I might not have all the data, right? So I might throw the internet out the window. And when we show up to play Johns Hopkins this year, I'm going to sit there. I'm going to request to our head coach that we get there early enough to watch them take BP. I'll sit there and I'll write down every single one. This. I got my lineup, put it in. There you go. All I need is 18 cards a season. You only need 3 a game, and just wipe it off with a dry erase Sharpie thingy, and you're good to go for the next ball game. So the players love it because they're able to stay into the game, and the way, even if you can't use it in game, everybody here has inter squads and scrimmages, right? During your scrimmage, give 3 to one team, and then your 3 to the other team for the outfielders. In between innings, so if it's Elliott, Briggs, Grope, whoever, tell them to write it down where they think that they should play their teammates. Tell them to write it down. Keep it in their back pocket all game. If they need to make an adjustment, they can make an adjustment after the game. It's almost like a test. After the game, collect it, and then look at it. And if you're saying, man, why are we playing Elliott poolside? Or why are we playing Bridge heavy pool when he's clearly a shallow op guy? That will tell you as a coach that I'm not doing my job in teaching them what it looks like to read a swing because we're on a different page. That's all that is. So that's the accountability that the coach has to take on as well, too. We did that for every one of our inter squads when I was at Penn State. And I'll keep doing it because it keeps them in the practice, and it allows them to get feedback from a coach and say, hey, I'm going to tell you why we're wrong here. Let's make this a discussion as far as why McMahon isn't a heavy, shallow op guy. All knowledge-based, things to keep them going, things to keep their brain functioning. Here's another one. Spray charts. I used to be a huge fan of them, right? A huge, huge fan. Okay, here's where every guy's going to play, right? However, if the spray chart's not going to tell you what pitch or what the velocity is, does it really lead up to what we're trying to gather, which is the correct data? Because the spray chart might say, well, all those balls, and let's see, what base hit, let's say ground outs are all in green, but do we know the velocity of each ground out? Was it 80 versus 90 versus maybe 70? So I used to be all balling on spray charts. I do think that they do some justice, but that's another way for you guys to help out with your cards or help out with your scouting moving forward. And then the last piece for preparation, and this is probably the most one here, is extreme data tracking, where it's going to give you right-handed pitcher versus left-handed pitcher versus fastball versus breaking ball versus whatever you want, versus run on second versus sunny day versus cold day. I'm telling you this because the way baseball is going, a lot of these things are going to be more accessible to us moving forward. The technology, everything, it all costs money, but you find that something's always coming out the next day, the next year, the next century, which means that something else is going to become affordable. So you're starting to see a lot more of these into a lot more different programs, like Rapsodo, like all the pitching mechanic stuff. So it's always good to know how you can use it for your program. All right, so before we start getting into drills and certain things that we do, I always have an awareness check, right? We go to wherever, we can go play in Louisiana, Monroe, or we can play in Las Vegas. I don't care where we're playing. I'm going to step on a field with an awareness checklist. So I'm first thinking about the playing surface. Where I grew up in North Philly, I can tell you one thing, the playing surface sucked. So everything technique-wise that I ever learned has got to be out the window because a ground ball that comes to me is going to look like a pinball machine, right? So I got to know that off the bat, which I know it happens at a lot of high school fields too. So that's why I never really teach a set way to do something because it's based off the playing surface. Warning track, what's the warning track feel like? How much depth do I have? How much gravel is there? When I am standing behind the warning track, and the stage right now is my warning track, when I get there, what does that wall feel like, right? Is it hard? I've coached at some places where you pretty much kill yourself if you hit that thing on full speed. But they need to know that before the game happens, right? Foul territory, this is a big one. How much foul territory do I have? Not only should your corner guys know that, but also your corner guys in the infield should know that too, at third and first base, because it's going to allow them to make some outs for the pitcher. Again, what's the fence look like? Is there sun and is there wind, right? You guys can probably all relate to me here, where a ball gets hit and you got your left fielder going this way and the wind's bringing the ball back that way. He comes in the dugout and says, I didn't know that there was wind out there, coach. I didn't know it happened. That's an easy checklist. And one, this is life skills for one, to be able to be aware. But it's an easy checklist that they can do before they actually receive a ball. Because I tell every player that I coach, when that ball's hit, you stop thinking. It's nothing but straight reaction. I don't coach any kids that want to think about what they're doing, left, right, is the wind there, what's going on. I don't want to coach that kid. I want to coach the kid that has the information prior, right? He's got the knowledge, and then he just reacts. He reacts and he plays ball, because that's when it's fun, when you start reacting. And so that checklist is huge, and the players can take awesome ownership doing that.
Coach Butler,
yeah.
You're firm on, during batting practice, you're in your spot, right? Your defensive spot.
Yes.
You're not messing around.
Yeah, yes. Oh, so perfect. Let's get into that. So batting practice, when I played, and I never talk about when I played, but when I played, I tell my pitchers, get the heck out of the way, right? It's not a shag session. It's, hey, we're live, ready to go. And if you guys have a specific outfield coach on your staffs, I would have you, if he's not throwing BP, walk around and talk with the guys. So I would do it all the time when we were on the road, because I would say, hey, you good with that backdrop? What do you see out here? How's the surface? And I would just roam, you know. And then the guys who are not playing in the game, this is awesome right here. If you're not playing, if you're not listed as one of those three outfielders in the game, you better be getting dirty. You better be getting all your reps in. You better be making throws to the guy sitting on the bucket. I would say, hey, man, we're going live on the bucket. We're going live, so when you turn around, know it's coming in hot. Because at certain levels, and I mean, you high school coaches, you don't get a lot of time with your players. That's the unfortunate thing. Even in college, you don't get a lot of time with your players. So I want to maximize every chance we get on the field, because I can't work with you any other time. So we maximize BP all the time. Once they see that you're psycho enough about it, they'll buy in. All right, let's get into some training here. Ground balls. So, you know, we can get into the, field the ball. We've all heard it. You want to field the ball out in front. I'm a big believer in that. I don't like fielding the ball in here, because I want us to be able to see my eyes, see the ball going in the glove with my eyes. And tucked back here, I can't see that, right? But think about this from a ground ball perspective and how we do it. And I used to do this when I coached years before. I used to do my ground balls at like 300 feet, right? I'd stand on the side. I said, all right, guys, back it up. We're going to work on some ground balls now. And they'd be like so far. I guarantee if you put any one of your players at shortstop, assuming they're not a dual position kid, if you put them at shortstop, they probably wouldn't be as good with the glove work. Hopefully they are. I guarantee if you do it in college, they act like it's foreign, right? And it happened with me. One day we had to put our center fielder, who's super athletic. We said, hey, man, somebody's down. Go get some reps at second base. And he was awful. I was like, why aren't your hands good? Didn't you play shortstop in high school? You say, yeah. However, if you think about the distance that we hit our ground balls to him, it's always super far. So we do 90 feet ground balls. There's a video I had to use from when I was at Penn State, because I hadn't started my job yet as sophomore. And all we're doing, they're only allowed to use their glove hand. And I'm firing these balls at them. They're only allowed to use their glove hand. They're going to work on soft hands, and we're pretty much going to turn them into the shortstop. This kid plays for Penn State football as a wide receiver. glove hand only. And what we do is we do this from a drill setting, and then we turn this into knockout. So it's competition. I think this game right here actually is knockout. But now at a short distance, they have the ability to, they already have the fundamentals down, right? Once you teach them your fundamentals when practice starts, stop teaching fundamentals, right? Once that's done and you feel like they have it down, like he's just worried about, and then he tried to sneak that other hand in there, but he just wanted to keep the ball in front. But now if I hit them that ball 200, 300 feet away, the game becomes a lot slower for them. Super, super slow for them. That's all we're trying to do here is just slow the game down and make it competitive and interacting. But think about always making your practices harder than the actual games. Why do hitters want to hit velocity and hit machines? Because they want to see what they're going to hit in the game. It's the same thing for the outfielders. We want to replicate that as much as possible during our practice setting. So this is about 85 feet. I'm probably like to 25. They're somewhere halfway in the end zone. All right, this is a big one. So pro step versus crow hop. I'm not going to ask show of hands who does pro step or crow hop, but it's just crazy to think about. I do believe that the game of baseball is evolving, but I also think that it is strictly the use of technology-driven information that's put out there. One of the topics that you see now is folks saying, well, pro step, which is, if you don't know what a pro step is, it's right foot behind the left, or I call it just a shuffle, okay? Versus the crow hop, where it's right foot driving forward, and your focus is on getting off the ground. I was taught at a young age crow hop, right? Someone taught me crow hop. I don't know where it came from, but if you think about it, I'm 29 years old, so when I was playing back in the 90s, there wasn't Twitter, there wasn't Instagram, there wasn't all that, right? So I guess somewhere it was like, hey, let's start crow hopping, let's crow hop. That's what we should do. But now because we see baseball all the time, you think about it, in 2020, this is the most that we've seen the game for 12 months straight because of social media, right? It's natural. So we can see what people are doing, which means people can feed information. And with that, we found to believe that everyone should be doing what they call a pro step, right? And the reason being, I'm going to hop on stage so you guys can see my feet. So the pro step, or like I said, I call it a shuffle, is simple. So when they're fielding that ground ball, they're going right foot behind the left because their goal is they want to stay as linear to the target as possible, and they are thinking about just staying directed with where they're going to throw the ball. The thing with the crow hop is once you gather your feet here and you receive the ball out in front, and you drive this foot up, it might look cool if you're not a baseball person, but if you're trying to go for a vertical leap, sure, go ahead, but you're going to come up, there's no way for me to keep going, so my momentum naturally stops. It naturally stops when I go up in the air to come down and to throw. And it's like, man. And I tell you, like, I didn't get the best grades in college, but if you just look at the way the body works, it's like, that ain't the way to get the ball to the bag. Okay? So and then I always do my due diligence. I go back. All right, I was telling my man earlier, I said, this past year I watched baseball more than ever before. So I go back and watch the 1996 World Series game, 2010 NLCS game, Phillies versus Giants. I'm watching everything because I want to see what's going on then versus now and how in comparison is how much true is this stuff. You look at outfielders from back in the day, and they were all doing a pro step. So here is Rick Ankiel throwing two guys out in one inning. I don't know if you guys remember this. And it'll come back into focus here, but watch his pro step when he releases this ball. Right foot behind the left. And he's gifted with a heck of an arm there. But I guarantee you he can't do that without being able to stay linear and doing a pro step to get that runner out. The other piece I love is his follow. He's going to have another throw here. And when he's finishing his throw, I got to do it from the right side. He's following through with that backside because he's getting all of his body into the throw. We'll talk a little bit more about throwing later. Here's another one. This ball's going to end up at the wall. Again, it'll come back into focus. especially at the wall because you have no momentum here. No momentum. Look at this. And then you see the follow lead going to the follow foot going. Especially at the wall. And I think we'll give it one more. That was an incredible 2 throws that anybody can do it. In order to start working towards it, you have to start throwing that specific way. And I'll tell you what, I have allowed some of my players, we talk about that ball, when your players warm up or your pitchers warm up, and they're long tossing, right? Ain't nobody doing a crow hop. What are they doing? Shuffle, shuffle, right? Or they're doing pro step, something like that. You know, so that ball off the wall, I'm okay with them saying, hey, we can shuffle to get this ball in because we're still staying linear. But all that is just allowing our lower half to work and engaging into the target. Okay, prep step versus prep step and drop step, right? So we play a lot of baseball, right? You're going to be out there all day. It's going to be hot, right? So we got to have time to relax in between pitches. So in between pitches, for me, I always have told my players, hey, you need to have your eyes on me. Even though you got your card, you look at your card. So you're either looking here or maybe you got your eyes on me in the dugout. All right, coach doesn't move me? Cool, perfect. I never yell at any of my players to move them. By the way, you watch a major league game, maybe they whistle a couple of guys, but there's an the outfield coach sitting at the end of the dugout. He'll do this. Move them on over. Move them on over that way. I don't have to get their attention and yell names. Just move them left to right. It's all about how you train them. So to relax in between pitches, then timing of the pitch and the delivery is the next step with the prep step. So when I talk prep step, it's not much different from the infield. Right? Infield, very subtle for the outfielders too. I just want to be in a nice, soft position to where when this ball's hit, I can go left, I can go right, or I can go straight back over my head. Right? And what you don't want is this. I don't care how fast you are. Good luck. Usually you see this off like the left fielder who's running like a 9.5, 60, and he's in the game just to hit bombs. He's like, look, coach, you know if it comes out to me, I'm just here to hit anyway. Exactly, right? That's usually that guy. But it's very, very subtle, okay? Gaining ground over leaving the ground. It goes back to that the crow hop. You don't want this to be able to get going in that direction. Right? It's very subtle. And I can go. This is a simple drill you can just work on with your guys, just scissoring their feet. And think about it. You should be able to put, and this is like an extreme, but a small little piece of loose leaf, or even take a step further, some cardstock, right? Underneath their feet. Tell them that's all I want. That's all the gap that I want underneath your feet. Because that'll put the emphasis on staying lower to the ground so that I can then push off and get to where I got to go. Okay? And then again, light on your feet, right? I would line your players up and just have them go. Point to a direction, right, left. That could be an easy defensive daily drill that you can implement within your program. While we're here, I'm going to talk about it because I don't want to forget it. Catching the ball, right? So I had one kid who I told him, I'm a big fan of catching the ball with one hand, just so you guys know, right? I don't use two hands. I think it just gets in the way, right? Especially if you're on a run. I think guys are athletic enough. I think players are good enough to where they can catch the ball with one hand, have that free hand here, ready to go. And I had a kid. He would want. I told him I was going to tie your hand behind your back if you keep catching the ball with two hands. It just frees them up. There's a certain athleticism that players can have, and you want to teach them that now at a young age because what they do now is what they'll do, some of them, for the rest of their life, okay? So when it comes to two-hand versus one hand, I am a huge, huge advocate of catching the ball with one hand. You watch any big league game, and guys are going to catch the ball with one hand. Now, again, maybe end of the inning, catch it, two hands, whatever, no big deal. But when it comes time to throw somebody out, you need to get behind the ball. That bare hand is just right here ready to go. And quite frankly, it's really just going to block your vision if it's up in the air. Now, maybe the old school baseball videos, you'll see two hands right here, but is that really doing any good, or is it slowing you down? Again, these are all things I just went back in time to watch and say, is it better that way or is it better this way? Okay, so I'm an old school guy with a new school mentality and trying to just find that mix.
What do you want it caught?
Great question. Where do I want to caught? So we talk, if you have time, as far as where you want to caught, some folks have said, oh, well, they can catch it here to get close to their throwing arm, but guess what? My vision's blocked again, right? So I'm fine right here. And that's also a big one because I had another kid. He would always want to catch a ball way up top. And one of the things I do with my players is I time catch and release, right? We always we time the catch or pop, right? Oh, this guy's got a 1-4 pop. Great job. Nobody's timing the outfielders, right? That stuff matters. So a drill that we do is I'll get them on ground balls, timing from when it hits here to where it releases. And then I'll get them on pop flies. When it catches, to releases. And there's one kid, he wanted to catch way up here. He had straight like a stiff arm. I'm like, why is your time so high? I said, well, let's look, because we video a lot. Let's look at how you're catching the ball way up. You can be right here. And you'll notice when you do this drill, don't let them cheat it because they'll forget about accuracy. So any throw that's not accurate doesn't count. Doesn't count. Okay? So these are all things that you can put into your plan, put into your program. My goal from a drill standpoint was we do some things a lot, but I try to never do the same thing on a consecutive day, as hard as that was.
So do you time catch release or you time
Catch.
off the glove?
Catch and release.
Okay.
Release, yeah, catch and release. I got to talk to my guy, JT McGuire, who's with the Indians, try to figure out what that best time is. To be honest, I kind of did it like a teacher and just base it off of the best guy and curves if needed. But at least let me focus on that best guy and let's stay within ourselves was always my mentality around it. This is another one that I love, running through the ball. So we talked about our drop steps and how we want to get going in that right direction. But now what do we do when we get there? And what you'll see a lot of players do is they'll get to a ball and then they'll either try to time up a leap or they'll just stop running. And it makes me wonder, I said, man, let me start looking at some other sports. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, so sorry, guys. Deshaun Jackson is one of my favorite players, right? You watch him run and catch a ball that Carson Wentz threw, and whether it's an overthrow or whatever the case may be, he is running through the ball, right? Whether the ball, no matter where it is, he's running through the ball. You watch any football wide receiver catch a football, he's running through the ball. It's the same thing with baseball players. There's no different. It's actually easier because we don't have a large human being trying to hit us crossing the middle, and all we have is a glove. That's it. I'm like, man, thank goodness, I coach in one of the easiest sports ever. It's so easy, right? So I'm going to show you this video of Ben Revere here a couple years back with the Phillies running through the ball, and this is when the mentality starts clicking in. Sorry. That's running through the ball. Yeah, go and get back. Yep. The best is the first base coach over. He's doing this. He's like, what are you doing? He doesn't stop. He just runs through it. Sacrifices his body. He's not timing a leap. He's full speed and doesn't stop. So you think about that. If you can start telling your players to run through the ball instead of to it. I don't think about getting to the spot. I think about running through where I'm trying to get to. They'll start catching a lot of balls. A drill I love doing is I'll have a guy start, maybe somewhere right there, and I'll get on a knee, nice and easy. I'll tell him to go. I'll say, all right, go. I'll flip it up nice and I'll do it this way. Guy going this way, I'll flip it up, and the players will run through it, and they'll either dive or they'll just keep running through the ball. But it's a short distance. Everything I do is super short. Short distance because I'm not worried about the 100 feet that we got to run beforehand. So it's very short. I'll tell them, all right, here we go. Go. I'll give them a nice little toss, and I'm making it super hard. But their job is to just run through it and not stop. And I tell them, I don't care if you catch the ball. And what starts happening is they're like, man, coach, I'm able to get to some balls I never thought I can get to before. Perfect. That means it's working. That means it's working. We're using all of our real estate that we have. Triangle pop. I think I said something else was my favorite, but I changed my mind. This is my favorite play for an outfielder. I love it. I eat it up as a player. I eat it up as a coach. I embrace the heck out of a triangle pop, right? Whether it's my first baseman and my second baseman going for the ball, whether it's my middle guys coming out, going for it. So in order to do this, as a coach, we have to, one, keep them safe, right? What's your communication look like? Is it ball, ball, ball? Is it mind, mind, mind? I've been with some programs where outfield was ball, 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 infield was mind, mind, mind. That's up for you as a coach, what you want going on. Act as if you're the only person on the field. The only person. Middle guy might fall down, lose his shades, can't see, you got to take over. Right? This is big for young guys. Oh, this would, if you call it, you got to catch it. How many times you see the guy call a ball and he's jogging afterwards, right? If you call it, didn't catch the ball. And then lastly, it's got to be practice. It really is. That 2010 Phillies NLCS game I was watching, they had a great one. They said Jason Worth ran to one off on the side and avoided Ryan Howard and Joe Buck saying, man, it looked like they practiced that play. Well, you're right, because they do. Okay? So this is a triangle pop play with the Boston Red Sox, and what I tell every infielder is, infielders, your job is to sprint back. And you can go ball, 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 ball until you hear something else, until you hear that outfielder calling it. But their job is to sprint back, and you'll see if your players don't sprint back, that means they don't trust the outfielders. Okay? So that has to get worked on in practice. The outfielder's job is to come in knowing that he has priority, which means that he can call him off if he feels like he can get there. Once the outfielder goes ball, 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 infielder, get out of the way. And after that, it should be a piece of cake. It'll come back into play. So that's Mookie Betts. And it's funny, it's going to slow down here. You're going to see Dustin Pedroia actually slow down, which means that he heard Mookie Betts yell ball, ball, ball. He's going to speed up, and at some point he's going to slow down right about there because Mookie's coming in and he's got the ball. Like, that play has to be practiced. If it's not practiced, they're going to suck at it, and most important, someone's going to get hurt. Right? That's a pride thing for me. If my players that I coach can't execute a triangle pop, that's a problem. So one of the things I did to make sure they can execute a triangle pop is, guess who's going to be the infielder in practice? Me. If you ever want to get some conditioning in, try this with your guys. So we were fortunate where we got some machines, right? So I set the machine up right where I want that ball to land. I would actually be the third baseman unless I had some other guys. So I'm the third baseman. I put all the guys in left field. They have to come in. I'm going back. Ball shoots up. I'm running back full speed. One, because I want to get a good workout in. Two, I want them to really emphasize calling me off. So I'm going back going, ball, 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 ball. And when they say ball, 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 and I hear them, then I'm veering off. But I'm telling you, we got about this close. And in my mind, I'm not going to hit them. And in their mind, they're not going to hit me because we built that trust within a practice setting. And that's what I wanted them to feel. I'm coming back with every intention to catch that ball. And we do it in practice, and it pretty much works for any of the guys that I've coached. Throwing with purpose, okay? This is where we'll finish up with. And when your players are playing catch, ask yourself, when they're going out, one, is there a coach with them? And two, who's playing catch with who? What are the throwing partners look like? Try doing this and looking at it from this way. The guys with good arms are going to throw with other guys with good arms. The guys whose arms suck are going to throw with other guys whose arms suck. right? We all see it. It happens in every program. So I said, all right, let's do this. Hey, you got the best arm on the team. You come throw with the worst arm from an outfielder perspective. You throw my worst outfielder, you throw my best outfielder. And then just keep matching, keep matching. What this is doing is when they start long tossing, I don't care if you got a 16 hop the ball. At some point in your mind, you're going to say, well, damn, if he can do it, all right, I can do it. I can get that ball there. I'm going to start using my lower half to get it into the throw, into the target. It's all about putting them in tougher positions and not just allowing things to be easy for them. We're going to use your feet and your lower half to work through the ball. And then most importantly, what do we use to hit? Our hips. Man, those hips are magic. We use our hips to get them going, just like we used to throw. This video of Mookie Betts explains exactly why you have to use your lower half to be able to throw with good velocity. Okay? So Mookie gets a ball hit down the right field line, and you're going to see him pro step, use that lower half, and the video keep going. It'll slow down here in a minute. But watch as you keep seeing him throw and what's going first, which is that torque in that lower half. And then obviously hand speed will always play a factor. And I'm going to compare it right now to his offensive game. Pretty decent torque, right? Pretty decent lower half. Really gets involved, really violent. Look how similar that is. My, oh my. Very similar. Lower half. We all need it. You think about, if you look at your players now, all the players that throw just with their arm, and when they always say, hey, coach, my arm's hanging, my arm hurts. Well, it's because they're not using their entire body to throw the baseball. Allow them to do that. They'll play for a much longer time. They'll have longer careers. I appreciate everybody for listening. If you'd like to get in contact with me, that's my contact, at Coach Butler42 on Twitter, Instagram, graveyardmentality.com, and my email address, AndreButler242.com. Appreciate it. Feel free to spread the graveyard mentality. Your players will absolutely love it. I do sell these T-shirts if you want to really have them dive deep into it. And again, thanks for being here.